Hey gang, it's Jay from JTech and welcome to another JTech video. Today's video I will be discussing something that has been quite noticeable in the smartphone world, especially in the tech YouTube smartphone world. The manner of reviews. How tech reviewers have influenced flagship smartphones or OEMs from many parts of the world in how to make a phone or how a phone should feel, look, or perform. I respect all top level reviewers and I would want to be at that level of influence, but when you reach a certain position in the world, you have to be careful that you might affect massive products. Now, whether or not you agree with me, you have to accept that there has been a noticeable change in how smartphones have been going towards the last 4 or 5 years. Now, we noticed that we have reached the peak level of smartphone where innovation is very difficult, but it's very easy to notice that one way or another, tech reviewers have influenced how things should go. These are a minority of people that have massive audiences, millions upon millions of subscribers and views, and they can affect how a product could look like at the end of the day. Before I start this video, I just want to let you guys know that this is my personal opinion. Whether or not you agree with me, it's up to you. But anyways, let's get into it. Over the last few years, I watched a video from Geeky Ranjit, who's a very noted tech reviewer, especially in India. He did a video where he mentioned that features in certain smartphones aren't necessarily needed. And that was something that I thought of very well. And I noticed that a bunch of tech reviewers started reviewing tech in a manner where they were just saying the same things over and over again, where they were preaching the same noise of what a smartphone should be like. A flagship smartphone should have a 120 Hz refresh rate display. It should not have curved screens. It should have all those bells and whistles. But when it comes to the regular consumer, the people who may not afford these phones, or the people who are just looking for something that's very simple, people might be swayed and might be disappointed that this is what it should go like. Geeky Ranjit said in his video that what sane person is going to use 12 gigs of RAM in their phone? What person is going to game at 120 Hz refresh rate when most games are not optimized for such refresh rates? Sure, there's gaming phones, but that's a video for another day. But for most people to say that, oh, a flagship phone should have this type of refresh rate, it should have this, it should have that, it should have this, making sure that it should fit in this box, everyone will just go up and say, okay, this is what it should have. Now, these are features that are really good to have. Are they necessary? In my personal opinion, maybe not, but you will disagree with that. They might hinder things like battery life and longevity. But I'm someone who consumes content through larger displays like a monitor or a tablet or my laptop. I don't necessarily use my phone for watching YouTube unless, it's absolutely necessary. But at the end of the day, when tech reviewers come out here and make these statements like this is what a phone should be and etc., it forces manufacturers to go into a corner where they're forced to do something that the majority consumer doesn't really care about. Do I care about high refresh rate displays on a phone? Not really. Are they nice to look at? Are they nice to feel? Sure, they make the phone feel faster and fluid, but is it a necessity? No, not really. Manufacturers are looking at 10s or 20 YouTube reviewers and saying, oh, this is what it should look like, this is how it should be, this is what our phone should be. Then everyone is forced into making this phone, and still at the end of the day, these reviewers will not be satisfied. Case in point, the OnePlus 8 Pro. It came out this year and everyone was disappointed. Majority of tech reviewers were disappointed. Say, the camera is mediocre. Oh, it's got a high refresh rate display, but it's OnePlus gave the consumers, gave what these YouTubers wanted from the OnePlus 7 and to be improved in the OnePlus 8 and OnePlus 8 Pro. They gave us a high refresh rate display. They gave us wireless charging. They gave us a glass body. They gave us all these beautiful bells and whistles. But people went around and complained and said, nah, it's too expensive. It's against the OnePlus brand. It goes against what OnePlus stood for. Guys, you asked for these very features last year, and now you're going to complain about how expensive it is? Well, guess what? This is business. If you want the highest end product to make a lot of money, if you want the highest end product to suit your needs, it's obviously going to cost a lot of money to get a high refresh rate display, to get Qi wireless charging, to get an AMOLED curved display and all of that. But you still complain and say, oh, it's going against the OnePlus brand. I always take YouTube reviewers as consumers themselves. I don't take them as the be-all and end-all when it comes to what tech should be like, or what everything should look like, because at the end of the day, they're also consumers. But when they come out to complain that this is what certain things should look like and everything, it bothers me. I'm like, this is what you guys wanted, why are you still complaining? It really honestly comes out as something of snobbish behavior. I'm not calling anyone out as a snob, but it's kind of snobbish. Again, I might lose subscribers from this video. I don't care. This is just something that I have to mention. This is something that I have to talk about. If I was in a position of, talking to major executives or major brands like Apple or Samsung or OnePlus or anything, I'd be privileged. I'd be proud to get in that level. But when you are a content creator that has millions of people depending on you, on giving sane reviews, but you have this boxed way of reviewing things, saying this is what this should look like. If this doesn't have this, it's not going to be this. Honestly, you're kind of misleading a bunch of people, and you're forcing manufacturers to bow down to pressures that a good majority of people didn't really even have. If you want a curved screen display, there you go, you can have a curved screen display. But when 10 tech reviewers say, nah, curved screens are gimmicky, they're pointless, they're fragile, they're everything like that, and then manufacturers just remove them and make phones as bland and as boring as a certain phone I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes, then everyone will just be like, okay, but phones look the same, but the design is boring. Opinions change. Opinions are really varying for different people. But when you look at one manufacturer and say this is the gold standard and everything should be like this, that's where I'm going to have a massive problem. And the second part of this video is the Apple bias. Again, this is not me hating against Apple. I may not like the iPhone, but I do like other products. And there's some people who might like the iPhone but hate Apple's business practices. The iPhone 12 is rumored to not come with a charger in the box. And everyone else is just going to accept it and hype it up and say, hey, Apple know what they're doing. This is the perfect reason for Apple to go on and just take away the chargers, and we'll live with it. Like, who cares? You probably have an iPhone. Why do you need another iPhone charger cable or something like that? Again, let's look at this in perspective. Apple are targeting not the core Apple consumer. They're targeting many people that are switching from an Android phone to an iPhone. Many of those people may not have owned an iPhone in the past. So you're telling me that this trillion-dollar company is taking away chargers just because it's safe for the environment, just to follow a narrative that it reduces e-waste. If that was the case, phones would be released once every 2 to 3 years, and we wouldn't be forced to upgrade every 9 months. But yeah, sure, e-waste, it's good for the environment. Trust me, what Apple is doing won't make e-waste any more or less harmful to the environment. At the end of the day, this is the same company that took away the headphone jack in order to sell you $200 Bluetooth earphones. What makes you think that they're going to take away the charger just because it's environmentally friendly? And everyone's just going to go with it because it's Apple. There's literally nothing wrong that Apple can do. They can charge you $500 for a pair of wheels on an iMac Pro. They can do all of that because it's Apple. They're perfect, and that's just what bothers me. Seeing Apple as this perfect utopia. This is the perfect smartphone is an iPhone. Nothing else comes close. It doesn't have curved screens. It doesn't have pop-up cameras. It doesn't have any of that. It's the iPhone. It's the be-all and end-all. Again, it's really an opinion of self. If you like what Apple does, go ahead, enjoy it. But to placate every smartphone manufacturer and force them to make them look at a tech product in that one way, then I'm gonna have a problem with how you review products, because you look at Apple as being the be-all and end-all. Now, I'm not saying for every tech reviewer out there this is the same thing. This is for a majority of tech reviewers that keep peddling this notion that whatever Apple does, it's good, and they are infallible, they're a perfect company. Everyone else is just using dumb gimmicks like curved screens or anything, you know. And also, another one thing that is gonna bother people not, but I might be in the minority. Anyway, whatever. The notion that the flagship should have wireless charging, should have high refresh rate display, should have all these bells and whistles, and if it doesn't have one of those, it's not a flagship, is pretty dumb, in my opinion. Just because a phone doesn't have a wireless charging pad inside of it doesn't make it any less of a flagship. It could have flagship specs and all that, just like how we had with OnePlus before, OnePlus 8. But everyone said, is it really a flagship though? Is it, you know, is it? Everyone was saying the same song and dance. Do 10 million people necessarily think wireless charging is necessary in a phone? Like, if you go and buy a phone, you look at it and like, you know what, this doesn't have wireless charging, it's not a flagship, sorry, it doesn't have wireless charging. Wireless charging is possibly the biggest gimmick that has gotten away with it for a very long time. Again, you might hate me for saying this, but hear me out. Wireless charging on devices like true wireless headsets or smartwatches makes sense. On a phone, that has more likely than most quick charge. Do you honestly need a secondary pad that you put your phone on stationary? Do you need that in order to feel like it's a flagship just because it doesn't have a cable coming out of a port? Only just because you're laying your phone down and it's charging, and like, ooh, that looks nice, wireless. It's not wireless charging, it's stationary. Like, you put your phone on the charger, and then it's not wireless charging when you connect, when the main cable is connected to a power source. It's stationary charging, it's passive charging, honestly. That's what it should be called. That's honestly, I feel, the biggest gimmick that has gotten away with it for a very long time. And everyone accused OnePlus of shortchanging people. And now that we got wireless charging and everything else with the OnePlus 8 Pro, dear old YouTubers came out and say, oh, it's too expensive. This is not the OnePlus way. Lads, business goes this way. If you want a personalized product or a product that fits your needs, obviously it's going to be expensive. It's going to cost a lot of money, and you have to fork out that money in order to get what you feel is the best product. But anyways, at the end of the day, man, it's all personal. I'm not knocking any of these reviewers. I'm just saying that their pattern of reviewing is causing manufacturers to go in a way that is not suitable for the greater good. It's not suitable for the majority of people who want phones that work very well. And at the end of the day, I'm just a consumer, just like they are, on a much smaller platform, trying to give you guys my opinions on tech. Whenever I get a product to review here, I always just give you my thoughts, give you how it's gonna work for you guys and what you should do, and any recommendation from a certain product. But I do not force it to be in a niche, like if this doesn't have this, then it's not worthy of being called that. And if this doesn't have a half-bitten fruit on it, it's not worthy of being called that. But that's just my 2 cents, guys. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. That's the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. It's been Jay from JTech. Talk to you guys next time.